Come to Slayton Polaris and check out their huge selection of new and used ATVs and Rangers. Tim has been in business since 1988. Slayton Polaris is located 6 miles west of Memphis and 13 miles north on Route B. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 and on Saturdays from 8 till noon. Come on out and see Tim and Dean today at Slayton Polaris or give them a call, 660-328-6627.
Mid-American Energy is putting the power to use energy more efficiently in our hands, helping with the big things like rebates to make approved energy-efficient appliances more affordable, and helping identify the little things like compact fluorescent bulbs and weather stripping that add up to save some green. Energy efficiency is in our hands with Mid-American Energy. Obsessively, relentlessly at your service.
Hi, I'm Gary Dolphin, the voice of Hawkeye football for Learfield Sports and the Hawkeye Sports Network. I invite you to join me for Fry Fest on Friday, September 7th at 7 p.m. at Coralville's Iowa River Landing, featuring country singing sensation Sarah Evans. Enjoy a night of live music, food, a beverage garden, and more with Sarah Evans and special guest Lee Bryce. Tickets are $15 in advance, $20 beginning September 4th. For ticket information and more Fry Fest info, visit fryfest.com.
We could see some patchy fog this morning. Otherwise, we are calling for sunny skies and a high near 90 degrees. Winds are going to be calm today. Tonight, we'll see mostly clear skies and the low right around 62. Tomorrow, it should be sunny with a high right around 93. Tomorrow night, mostly clear with a low of 66. And that's weather on America's Best Country.
This is the award-winning broadcast of Healthy University, bringing health and vitality to you and your family. Brought to you by Scotland County Hospital in Memphis. Now, here's your host, Dr. Randy Tobler.
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years and the slow parade of fears without crying. Now I want to understand.
Good morning and welcome to Healthy You. Another gorgeous day in the Midwest and here in Memphis and surrounding areas, along with Bud Wilson and Lisa Kiger. I'm Dr. Randy Tobler. Thanks for being here.
It's a beautiful day out there.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Yes, it is. And it's going to be, I don't know, everybody's saying we won't get any rain from Hurricane Isaac, but I'm not completely convinced of that. I'm thinking maybe we might, because this is so saturated full of water, this storm system, it just dumps
I think something's going
a whole bunch of water on everything.
I recall every time one came up there from the Gulf in the past, we've had rain. For 2 or 3 days, we've had some storminess.
Yep.
So we could use a little. It's good to see things greening up again.
It's
nice.
I was happy about that.
It's like a light box.
Yeah.
I mean, it just raises
Can
your mood.
you believe how
See the green.
fast? I can't believe how fast the grass gets green again when you get rain on it. It's like 24 hours or less, and it's already, I don't know how it does that.
It's nice.
It's the chlorophyll thing? I mean, I don't know. Speaking of chlorophyll, I do need to say one thing, though. There's going to be a health screening Wednesday, September 5th from 8 to 11:30 for the kids, K6, and above height, weight, dental, hearing, vision. All those things are going to take place. What I need for people to understand is in your child's backpack tonight.
For Scotland County Schools, right?
For Scotland County Schools.
There should be.
In your
That's the operative word. There should be what in the backpack.
And this is for Scotland County we're talking about. Theoretically. There should be a permission slip in the kid's backpack that is a permission slip for fluoride varnishing. And which is one
for floor varnishing? Fluoride.
Fluoride varnishing.
Oh,
you're going to give me
the basketball court. I thought they varnished that over the summer.
Well, you can do this with teeth. And anyway, the permission slip is in the backpack, folks. You need to make sure you sign it.
And who's going to be doing that?
There are a whole bunch of
fluoride varnishing.
Yeah,
I mean like putting fluoride on the teeth with some type of an instrument.
Right.
What?
My kids did this last year. I'm not 100% for sure of this. I think it's a drink.
Is it a
maybe
swish
that
and
they
swish and spit kind
I
of a
think.
thing? Yeah.
No, don't hold me
I don't
to
know.
that.
Well, maybe if Doc Donaldson's
not
listening, he
saying
can
they're
ask
gonna-
about that.
I'm not saying they're going to
but-
spray it on or anything.
Well,
I'm just
I don't
saying-
know. Why they get a
I
brush?
All I'm
Too-
saying
Get a
is
brush, a popsicle stick, and open wide.
just sign the slip, folks, and send it back with your kid.
Trust us. Trust us. So I'm looking. Now, wait. I still need to understand one thing, though.
Right.
We went from the grass getting green
Right.
to something about the chlorophyll. And then what was the segue into the? Was there a
Well,
segue there?
in my
I can
mind-
understand nutrition and especially hydration.
Yeah.
Drink your water and you'll blossom and feel
In my
good.
mind, it was fluoride, but I don't know how. I'm just saying, chemistry wasn't a big class for
Well,
me. so
chlorophyll and fluoride share the same phonetics at some point, but that's about the
that's
only
about
connection
the
I can come
only
up with.
way it's connected.
Ooh, okay.
Hey, this Yosemite
Had a good
Nation-
time at the weekend festival, did you, Bob?
Oh, yeah.
Hit the beer tent a lot? No.
No. I don't think there was a beer tent.
There's
was
not a
there?
It's
beer
very
tent.
wholesome. Family.
Wholesome. It's
Well, what's
wholesome.
wrong with beer? Beer's wholesome. But I understand what you're saying.
Anyway,
There's antioxidants in beer. Go ahead.
yeah, no fluoride, though.
No fluoride.
Yosemite National Park. There's 2 people that have died from the hantavirus up there. And
Ooh,
then
yeah.
also in Chicago, there have been some deaths at a hotel there from Legionnaire's disease. And then there's Cuba, once again, making its mark.
Cuba
in the
Libre.
news. Cuba. Cholera outbreak, 417 cases, 3 dead. Cuba says that the cholera outbreak on the islands run its course. And that it is
Wow.
now safe to go into the water.
Wow.
Or, I mean, I don't know.
Well, so we
don't
get-
drink the water brings on a whole
Yeah.
new concept when you're talking about cholera.
Yeah, that's terrible. Wow.
But they say it's okay.
That's that
I guess
wonderful
that
health
means they
system
want,
down in Cuba.
Yeah, and the I guess they want you to come back down and be a tourist again.
Yeah. So
Are we allowed to go to Cuba yet?
No, I don't think
We're not
so.
allowed to
No,
go.
I don't
Not
think
a
so.
vacation destination.
I don't know.
So you have to go to Mexico or something and then hop a
I bet there's a
Trader.
peer-reviewed journal coming out of the Cuban medical community saying smoke more cigars to cure your cholera. Right? Hey, now give me a little recap of the run on Saturday. I was on the air, so I couldn't do it. But was it the fun run? Was
Yeah.
it a grand success?
Oh,
as
my
always.
goodness.
Yeah, I heard the turnout was huge again.
It was huge.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, because I asked again this morning, and everyone tells me they're assured that it was over 200, but they're still counting. They don't have them all counted yet. I'm pretty sure we had at least 30 applicants at between 7 and 7:30 that morning.
Wow.
In addition to all the others. And it was really a lot of fun. We had a lot of people that had done this in the past that were back. You recognized a lot of faces are growing up. They're a little older now than they were. But the point is, and the big point is, that they're exercising. They're still moving.
They're
still
moving,
doing the things.
and they got everything going. That's
Yeah.
great. Hey, we have another big announcement, and if you have your calendars handy or your smartphones or however you keep track of your schedules, please write down Tuesday, October 30th, because
Tuesday, October
it has just
30th.
been released that that's a big day
Yeah.
here in Scotland County, I think in the area at large, in Memphis certainly, and that will be a celebration of the completion of the expansion and renovation project.
Yay!
Which
we're all done.
Which through it we've had a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth, which happens with every renovation
Yes.
project.
Yes, it does.
And I know that folks have been inconvenienced and still walk around bewildered. Where do I go
Well,
now?
there's-
But I think that things are marvelous. They are fabulous, and the facilities are great. It's a great place to take care of people, and I think it's a great place if you have to be a patient to be a patient.
There's only 2 places on the interior of the facility that they have started working on that aren't finished yet. But all the like surgery, outpatient, the ED, reception, the library, all that's finished, and we're hopeful that everything will be sparkly and shiny and ready to go on October 30th. But here's what this is going to let you do, folks. It's going to let you come to the hospital By the way, it's late afternoon, early evening, so if you work that day, you can still come out, no problem. It's going to let you start at one spot, go clear through, see everything, and get an idea of, how to get from point A to point B. But it's also going to let you see the new facilities and everything finished up, we hope.
And how often would you actually get to go into the OR unless you were an OR patient?
Right.
And Dr. Tobler and his staff and Dr. Thomé and Dr. Miller-Parrish, Chief of Surgery, they will all be back there so showing off their new digs. Dr. Hicks and Quenneville and Keller and that whole bunch are going to be in the emergency department. Of course, if we don't have any patients back there during that time frame, showing off their new digs. And just a great opportunity for the folks of the area to see their hospital.
It'll be fantastic, and you all did it. You made it possible for the support and through your taxes as well. So we thank you for that. Hey, we have a special guest on the line, and that's our guest this morning. And his name is none other than Dr. Gary Epler, and he has a series of books called You're the Boss. This one's on food, and we're going to talk about that and talk about some other. That's the copy I've got because my wife's a big nutritionist, as you know, and she's been reading that. And he's got some others as well. So we will talk with Dr. Gary Epler about 5 steps to building your nutrition success and other things where you're the boss about your health care. And you guys didn't announce the big thing about October 30th, that big celebration where tours start from 3 to 7.
Yes?
There'll be a drawing for a free appendectomy. We'll be right back.
Oh, no!
I feel a shiver run up my spine. I feel the warmth of her hand in mine. Ooh, I hear laughter in the rain, walking hand in hand with the one I love. Ooh, how I love the rainy days and the happy way I feel inside.
And welcome back after that little musical respite, courtesy of Bud's selection. Hey, later on in the program, I am going to get on a soapbox, and I want adults, especially adults who influence children, whether they are your children, whether they are your grandchildren.
Right.
I want you to listen up and call everyone you know who has, especially someone in the teenage range, because I have some very, very important information based on a brand new study. Okay? And we'll talk about that later in the show. But now we're going to talk about being the boss, and that doesn't mean when I go home and have a honey-do list. I hope she's not listening. That has to do with taking care of your health. And we're so pleased to bring Dr. Gary Epler to our microphone here at Healthy You. He's written the critically acclaimed personal health book, You're the Boss, Manage Your Disease, and now the new book, Food, You're the Boss, Put It to Work for You. Welcome, Dr. Epler.
Hey, Randy, it's just great. Those honey-do lists, they can be tough, Randy.
I know they can. And since she's a nutritionist, and you know how life is at the hospital and the clinic with all the food and the junk food and no time to eat properly, and you're everything but the boss sometimes, and whether it's at the hospital or at the workplace, it's a good time to be talking about that because I think we all know in general sense what to do, but folks often have a hard time putting it into practical use, don't they?
Oh, this is it, and I'm really excited about talking to you today because you just talked about that fantastic new hospital coming up soon, and what my job is to keep people out of that hospital. And
don't tell our CEO.
Eating the right foods in the right amount. It's phenomenal. The right foods, the right amounts. It can prevent heart disease, strokes, diabetes, high blood pressure, and even some types of cancer. I don't know about that appendectomy, but it can sure help a lot of things.
Well, and what we're talking about is what we know, and I know you're a highly trained physician. You're an associate professor at Harvard Medical School, and in fact, Dr. Epler was renowned for describing a lung disorder, bronchiolitis obliterans organizing pneumonia. Say that 4 times fast.
Boy, You did fantastic, Randy.
but-
My wife is still struggling with that. It's been 29 years, but she's getting it down now.
Yeah.
We call it boop. It's easy.
But the truth is that, I mean, we're talking about primary prevention, and that is, yes, I think the United States has a wonderful medical system, and identifying problems as they begin or down the road and then treating them, we're great at that. But that we would be able to prevent them from ever appearing on the horizon in the first place. And that's really what you're about, isn't it?
That's exactly it, and that's what this whole book is about, and a whole series of books. And I'm writing a new one, first chapter, and it's how to have a level 10 energy day every day. And it's fantastic. And I have my level 10s, and my wife Joan does, and they're just fantastic. But there's a formula, and the first thing is 8 hours of sleep.
Oh, wow.
Second thing is 1 hour of vigorous exercise, and the third is to eat the right types of food in the right amount, and it's fantastic.
Well, let's talk about the types of food to eat then, and then we can move to the right amounts. And later on, I have to ask you, maybe after in the second segment after the break, we'll ask about the belly brain, because that's an interesting
absolutely.
concept.
We'll talk about that.
Okay, what are the right types of food to eat? I see a lot of people walking into the store and getting their little dollop of Mountain Dew and their donuts and their pizza. I mean, that seems to be the right thing if you look at what folks are doing, if you take the national polls, right?
If you take the national polls, you're right. We are surrounded by wonderful foods, and they're cheap. They're everywhere. The problem is a lot of them. I mean, actually, there's probably no food that's really bad. It's the quantity. And the problem with the ones that have bad quantity, you can't eat very much. I mean, like try eating one French fry, one chip. I mean, it's almost impossible. But as far as the right foods, the right amount, let's start with the proteins. They're fantastic. You can't go wrong with proteins. Just be careful what company they keep. If you throw a nice piece of chicken without any skin, it's fine. Then you throw on the skin, you throw a little oil on it, you throw some batter, and you put it in a French fry, a deep oil. It starts to get dangerous. But the proteins are great. Fats. There are two dangers about foods. The big danger about eating the wrong types or wrong amounts, the big danger is inflamed arteries. Certain foods will cause inflammation of the arteries. I'll tell you how in a minute. Second one is fat deposition. Those are the two big things we need to prevent. And you get into the saturated fats, the fats, they don't cause people to get fat. They don't cause fat bellies. They cause inflamed arteries. And especially those beautiful arteries going to the heart. And they cause inflammation, plaque, and pretty soon they're occluded and the person has a heart attack. And it's from the saturated fats. And those are animal fats like lard, bacon, and that kind of thing.
Dr. Epler, hey, there are many residents sitting at their desk or in their vehicles or on their sofa this morning that participated in our recent fall festival this weekend at Scotland County that are feeling ever so guilty for the number of funnel cakes, Lion's ice cream,
bloomin' onions,
rotary barbecued chicken, and Methodist Church homemade pies. And I'm telling you, actually, I'm that person today, Dr. Epler. How do you tell me to make myself feel better about the funnel cakes and pie and ice cream and tenderloins I ate this weekend to support good causes, to support very good causes?
I'll definitely make you feel better. Before we get all right, so before I make you feel better, I just want to finish up the carbohydrates. So saturated fats. The big problem about saturated fats. The good thing is you're allowed 25 grams. And there's part of your answer. So you can have 25 grams of saturated fats, and you read the labels, and it's not an issue. You can easily do that. But you read the labels, some of them, a candy bar can have 25 grams right there. So it's the way to control it.
On the other hand, let me interrupt you there, because a lot of people love candy bars, and a lot of women I know in my practice and my life love chocolate. Okay?
Yes.
Let's talk about a little square in a nice little wrapper, sort of schmoozy wrapper, of 63% or higher dark chocolate that has really very little fat in it. I mean, is that another way to sort of parse your fats and get some benefit out of them as well?
Absolutely. Dark chocolate even has a little extra chemical in there that says antioxidants, so you're in good shape in two ways. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You can have the chocolate and you can have the sweets, but it has to be a small amount, and as long as you read that label, keep it under the 25, or if it's 10, well, then you just kind of cut back the rest of the day.
Okay, so we've talked about proteins and healthy fats, and let's move on down the road then.
All right. So, and one last thing: the healthy fats are the saturated, unsaturated ones like the omega-3s and freshwater salmon and so forth. Now, carbohydrates are the number one problem in the country, and that is absolutely guaranteed. A few minutes ago, a fellow came over to we had a big tree that was leaning, and we had cut down. He was in his 40s, and he looked fantastic, trim, and he said, "I lost 40 pounds," and he had a big belly. A few years ago. And I said, how did you do it? Carbs. It's the carbs. And here's the story with the carbs, the science behind the carbs. If you eat the wrong amounts of certain types, those are the white starchy ones, the sugary ones, if you eat the wrong amounts, two things happen. The first thing that happens is there's a big sugar surge in the blood. And the minute that happens, insulin is released. Too much insulin is released. That extra insulin does two things. First, it turns a lot of that sugar to triglycerides, storage sugar. And Randy, you know, if you got a lot of triglycerides floating around in the blood, they're going to injure those arteries. So that's triglycerides, and you want to keep those triglycerides low. Keeping them low doesn't harm anything. So that's the first thing that happens. Triglycerides go shooting up, and the next thing that happens is our friend cortisol is released. Because insulin, cortisol comes right behind it. It's a neurotransmitter hormone that works instantly to move all that energy to the muscles and to the heart. Digestion comes to an end. And what digestion there is, real slow and laborious, turns to fat. And specifically right in the belly. That's the way it works. And so that's the science behind those carbohydrates that will produce that sugar surge, insulin, cortisol, and boom, there goes the fat bellies.
And I can tell you, having had bona fide Harvey Cushing's disease myself, and had to have half my pituitary removed to fix it in the 90s, I was a little different looking person than I am now. But
Randy,
but,
you know.
Yeah, but I know exactly the ravages of cortisol, and so there's a domino effect when folks eat sugar. Now, I have to tell you, Dr. Epler, our producer Elisa Kiger. Well, she likes sugar. And right now, she'd like to maybe off the air give you a number for the pharmacy so you can call in some Zoloft, because the news you're bringing today is really not the kind of news she wanted to hear.
I understand that. But I'm waiting. I have something for Elisa, and it'll be coming up. It's good news.
Okay.
But so it turns out, Randy, the big thing are the carbohydrates. And the culprits are the starches, the white starches, the white breads, the rolls, the pasta, the potatoes. Potatoes. Who would ever think that potatoes would cause an insulin surge? I didn't think that could happen. They're potatoes. I mean, they're just the white potatoes. But they do. They cause that sugar to go up, insulin to release, and out goes the cortisol.
So, Doctor, what are we to say, that the Pillsbury Doughboy is evil?
Well, gee, Bud, you really don't like to say that, but in large amounts, we'll do it that way. We'll say, it's good, but just not in large amounts.
Okay, there you go.
What about though? Let me give you an example of another answer to the problem, maybe. Because, for instance, last night my wife made salmon cakes. The recipe called for breadcrumbs. You know what she used? Almond crumbs or almond flour.
Huh.
Now,
unbelievable.
Does that get the Epler? Does that get the Dr. Epler thumbs up?
That's fantastic. That gets 3 thumbs up.
Okay.
That's fantastic. And that's just the thing. Like in New England, you go out to breakfast and they give you eggs, maybe scrambled eggs or something, and some whole wheat toast or something like that. That's fine. And then they give you these little potatoes. And they give a whole ton of them. Half of the plate are these potatoes. That's guaranteed 5 pounds.
And some toast along with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you just can't lose weight with that kind of thing. And all you do, don't do the potatoes, just to have a fruit cup.
Yeah.
It's fantastic, and it's 10 times better.
Okay, but
fruit.
but Elisa is withering over here.
You're not making me feel any better about those funnel cakes I ate this
Lisa, we're going to
weekend.
get to you. We're going to fix this. we are going to fix this.
If you can fix it, buddy, your crown is in glory.
There you go. But but that's the issue, and you just kind of have to think of those choices, and instead of the potatoes, you just put in the fruit cup. And Randy, I kept saying, geez, how can you have fruit? I mean, it's sugar. How can you possibly have fruit without causing that insulin surge and without the cortisol? Turns out, Randy, that fructose, which is in the fruits, is a sugar, very sweet, but it's metabolized in the liver.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And it's fantastic. So it doesn't cause that big surge, and so that's why fruit is still healthy.
Shall we take this time to distinguish between fructose from fruits as opposed to high fructose corn syrup, which we see in almost everything these days? Go ahead.
Boy, did you ever say the right words there. It's unbelievable. High fructose, it's called high concentrated fructose corn syrup. And if you look on labels, it is everywhere. And it started in the 60s, 70s, and it turns out it's just a real cheap way, inexpensive way to add sweetening. And so that's why people used it. And it's literally taking fructose from fruits, and concentrating it to 55% and sometimes as high as 85%. It's a manufactured chemical, and the liver can't handle it. It just can't handle that amount, and it goes right over to the insulin. Up goes the cortisol, and there you got that cortisol belly. So
all right.
We really need to keep an eye on it. A little bit doesn't hurt, but again, we need to keep an eye on the amount of that corn syrup.
Okay, so we've talked about proteins, fats, and avoiding sugars. Now, what's next on the list?
Well, that's it. Those are the three.
Oh, okay. So those are the types of foods. Those are the types of foods.
Three: proteins, fats, and carbohydrates.
Okay.
And if you can manage those things, it's fantastic. You can really, really have a healthy weight and prevent all these things.
Okay. Well, when we come back with Dr. Gary Epler, author of Food, You're the Boss, and purveyor and grand poobah of the website Epler Health, that's with one P, EPLER health.com. We will talk about the next step. Now we know what to eat. Now we have to find out the right amounts of it to eat. And we're still going to learn about belly brain before we're done. I'm determined.
Absolutely.
All right. With Dr. Gary Epler, I'm Dr. Randy Tobler with Bud Wilson and producer Lisa Kiger. Please join the discussion.
1-800-748-7875 and 660-465-7225.
To have a safe Labor Day weekend. If you plan to drink, choose a sober driver to get you where you're going. A drunk driving arrest could lead to fines, court costs, and a suspended license. You might be injured in a traffic crash, or even worse, you could harm or kill someone else. Enjoy the last holiday weekend of summer, but be smart. Don't drink and drive. A message from Sergeant Brent Bernhardt of the Missouri State Highway Patrol and KMEM.
Sergeant Jason Nielsen was paralyzed while serving as an MP in Iraq.
The sniper from down the alleyway shot me. 6 weeks later, I woke up at Walter Reed, not really knowing where I was at.
Paralyzed veterans of America's National Service officers, such as Sharita Latham, are trained to help injured veterans get all the benefits they've earned.
I could call Sharita at 11 o'clock at night and she would answer the phone and be like, "What can I do for you, Jason?"
If someone needs you, you listen to them. If they call, we're there for them.
She worked with my wife hand in hand, took care of everything for me just so I could focus on just recovery and trying to get on with life.
If there was no PVA, we wouldn't have the benefits that we have. We wouldn't know about the benefits.
To learn how you can help paralyzed veterans, visit pva.org.
Mike, this Cardinals lineup is loaded. Holiday. Holiday hits a 2-run blast. Berkman.
Oh, yeah. 3-run homer for Berkman.
Freeze.
Oh, yeah. Freeze has just hit a 2-run home run. I hear those calls, and I'm starting to think about 12 and 12.
As the Cardinals go for 12 in 12, listen on the radio all season long.
On your sports leader in the tri-state, KMEM, Memphis, Missouri.
Think you're going to like David Freeze when you see him, ladies and gentlemen.
It wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. You or someone you know is really scared they might be pregnant, and there's so many questions. What choices are there? How will this affect my future? Who will help me? You need information and answers to questions. We at Memphis Area Pregnancy Care Center care about you, and we are here to listen, to provide information, and to remind you there is hope for your future. Contact Memphis Area Pregnancy Care Center at 660-465-7179 for an appointment. All of our services are free and confidential.
It's high school sports season, and you're listening to Dave Bowden and the Pepsi-Cola Scoreboard Show right here on KMEM.
It was 1989, my thoughts were short, my hair was long. Caught somewhere between a boy and man.
A foggy day in London town had me low, had me down. I viewed the morning with such alarm. The old British Museum had lost its charm. How long, I wonder, 'cause this thing...
Gosh, I wish I could be a DJ and spin that stuff all day.
You got some good tunes there.
Yeah, we sure do, and Bud's picking them out every day.
That's right.
All right, nice tunes.
Doctor, there were a couple of things I was wondering about. One of them is how it seems like we lose control over being able to eat right and diet right. And I know that a lot of that has to come from the heart on the inside. But it seems like sometimes even when we get the best of programs set up, I don't know, we either walk away from it or something else takes priority and we step aside and we don't end up keeping it. And a lot of that's the problem that I think you address in your book.
Yeah, that's an issue. Traditionally, it's conditioned. We've been conditioned from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Our American sort of system, it's been conditioned. We just love to eat, and we like to eat in the 50s and 60s. It was certainly meat and potatoes. And now, as I said, there's food surrounding us. It's cheap. It's everywhere. And so I think it's just training the mind to eat the right amounts and the right foods. And the other thing is, it's okay once or twice a week or something to go off. But if a person can do it most days of the week, that's really all that's needed.
Yep.
Most days.
That's
work.
That's at the beginning of our Healthy Youth syllabus, which really doesn't exist. It's a virtual one. But we keep repeating themes, and one is the 90-10 rule.
Yeah.
Do the right thing 90% of the time, and your metabolism can take a little hit. In fact, it'll be more resilient at that point.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about you. Okay, we now know the right things to eat. Now, what about the right amounts? And let me give you a perfect story. This Sunday, we were at the ranch, and I was planted a vineyard this year, and I was working the vineyard. Ate a little brunch. Yeah, I had one or two pancakes, but I don't ever do it. But I had a little brunch, and went 6 hours working hard in the vineyard, and really, and we went to the Mexican restaurant then, and oh my gosh, I was hungry. My eyes didn't know how small my belly really is, or my stomach really was. And first it was the chips and the salsa, and then there was another basket, and then there was the number 9 or 10 Guido special, or Jose special. And I got the number 9, and I mean, even though I was full at 10 bites into the number 9, I ate the whole number 9, and I wish I wouldn't have. Now, how do we learn to learn to do the right amounts and have that discipline, Dr. Epler?
This is a key thing, and by the way, if there's anyone that's listening, just give us a call, because we could analyze your food. Randy and I can analyze what you have for lunch, what you have for dinner, and make some of those choices. But quantity is an issue, and there's number 9s. Oh God, we all get the number 9s. The good thing is, again, you just said it, is if you don't do that very often. But the other thing is what I call eating to high energy level. And you have to train the mind to do that. The ancient gurus and so forth knew how to do that. They'd eat their rice, or they'd eat whatever it was, and as you eat, you get energy. It brings you energy. You're talking and eating, and energy is building. And again, thinking in terms of a level 10 as the highest, you're getting up there 7, 8, 9, 10 or so. And then it starts to fall off. And in your case, when you actually ordered that number 9, I think it had already fallen off.
Yeah.
But at any rate,
it becomes it really resembled something of a feeding frenzy with sharks around the dead carcass at that point. I mean,
I've been there too many times. But that's the key, is to learn and to train the mind to say, oh, gee, I'm right here. Let's finish up, and that's it, and move on. And that's what it's called, eat to high energy level. And because after a while, it goes down to 8, down to 6, and it goes 3, 2. You just want to go snooze.
That's right.
And what kind of a day is that? That's no fun.
Yeah. And I found too, if they were to serve protein chips instead of carbohydrate chips, I think we all be in a better place. If we were to eat a handful of nuts instead of those darn chips, I think those proteins go to work on you too.
You can't eat one of them. That's the biggest problem. And now, so first is to eat to high energy level, and you train your mind. Someone called. I was in a station, I think it was Hawaii or Los Angeles, and someone called up and says, "Oh, when I eat, I can tell when my glucose goes up." And she stops. I mean, she's trained her mind, so she knows her blood glucose starts going up. Oh, okay, now I've had enough. Another one called up, absolutely crazy. She says, I start to sneeze if I go beyond how much I need to eat. So whatever it is, whatever works.
Wow.
People can train their minds to eat to that high energy level, and it's fantastic. I mean, you got that great energy the whole day that way.
Is that kind of like the concept that they used to have years and years ago, Doctor, when they said eat until your stomach or your mind, I forget which it is, tells you you're full and not continue after that? Is that what we're kind of talking about?
It's the mind, not
it's
the stomach.
Mind.
Because the stomach, stretch reflexes are at work, and it takes 15 minutes for stretch reflexes to send a message up. They're too slow.
Do you know how many chips and part of a number 9 I can eat in 15 minutes, Dr. Epler?
That's what you got it, Randy. That's exactly the thing. And it's too slow, so you got to use the mind. You have to use the mind. So that's number 1. Eat to high energy level. Number 2, use small plates. That works. Number 3 is when Joan and I go out to dinner, we almost always split. Split that number 9.
Right.
And we just become a habit, and it really helps. It's splitting these entrees. They're huge now.
Oh, they are.
Really are.
Yeah.
And the whole table can have one.
Right, that's right.
And so those are a couple of the tricks.
Okay, well, that's great. Before we wrap it up here today, talk to me about belly brain. I mean, what is that concept about, and why is it so important? It's a whole chapter in the book.
Right, the belly brain is, we learned about it in medical school, Randy. It goes way back. It's the enteric nervous system, and it's known, we've known about it for years, but recently we found out you can actually talk to it, and it will talk back, and that was the interesting part about that chapter. And the way to get it to talk back is you think in your mind of a greasy, sort of food that is sort of a fetid type of food, and your belly's kind of starting to curl a little bit and say, "Oh, gee, I don't think I want to eat that." It's sending you a clear message. It may not speak English, but it's saying, "No, don't do this."
Yeah. Okay.
And then if you think of a banana, there's no response. It's nice and quiet. So it can actually, it'll speak to you. You go to a restaurant or something and look at something, that belly brain is saying, "Oh, no, you don't want this. You really don't want it." and so that's what it's about. And the other thing about the belly brain is it needs to be calm. And if you eat during stress, Randy, you know what's going to happen. And our cortisol goes shooting up under stress.
Yep.
And out that digestion comes to an end. Here you're sitting down at a table eating all this food. It's just sitting there. It's going to sit there for a long, long time. And what digestion is taking place is that slow fat deposition energy that's so low energy that it doesn't take much, and it just turns everything to fat. And so that's the thing about the belly brain. Talk to it; it'll listen. It'll tell you back. And secondly, keep it calm. And the way, one little trick to use, like if you're all stressed out at dinner, the kids are yelling and screaming, you can take 3 belly breaths. And it's a reflex that's triggered. In belly breaths, you put your hand on your belly and you breathe in, but your belly goes out.
Right.
And then when the opposite, and do 2 or 3, it's called opposite breaths, it triggers a relaxing reflex and kind of calms things down.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I think stress eating is probably one of the most prominent pathologies among just the way we eat these days. And of course, with the economic downturn and people, either unemployed or worried about their jobs and the stressors, you go to the pump, my gosh, I mean, no wonder they've got the candy bar machine right there at the pump. Right? I mean,
that's where it is.
Yeah, and all the quickie marts, I mean, they're making out like fiends on this because people are like, I need stress food.
Stress food, yes.
And one thing that I found that helps, I don't know if you agree, but, my back to my number 9 story, I hadn't eaten for 6 or 7 hours and I had worked like a slave out there, and I'm thinking, I should have snacked on healthy stuff. It would have been even better to snack on slightly unhealthy stuff throughout the day than to have walked into that restaurant or if you walk into the grocery store and you shop. We all know that. Don't go in there hungry. Don't go in there stressed and tired and fatigued, Keep yourself tuned up during the work phase, right?
That's absolutely, you're 100% right there.
Hey, well, I really want to give a shout out for Dr. Gary Epler. You can hear the enthusiasm. All of the stuff in here is so accurate and so plainly spoken, and you can just hear how passionate it is that Gary is about this. And we look forward to more in the series through EplerHealth.com. And
that's it.
Yeah.
But, Randy, do I have something I get something to say to Elisa? Do I have a minute?
Absolutely, yeah.
Speak to me,
All right,
friend.
Elisa, are you ready?
Go for it.
All right, here we go. You can break the rules every once in a while. Now, here are 3 things, though. My Epler 3 rules. Number 1 is don't do it too often, we've talked about. Okay. Number 2, keep the quantity down. You can have that big old hot fudge sundae with the cherry and the whipped cream, and you had your, what did you have at it, your cookout the other day?
What didn't I have? Okay, that's the question.
What didn't you have? all of the pies and the ice cream and all that. Keep the quantity, try to keep the quantity down. But the main thing is enjoy every single bite.
Yes, so that's that mindful eating part that we hear so much about.
You have to enjoy it, savor. You say, "Oh, I'm going to gain weight. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't do it. Take a bite. Oh, this is awful. Take a bite." That stress level through the roof. Cortisol comes flying out, and there goes those fat belly.
Dr. Epler, you're speaking to the multitudes because we just had a caller come in. She didn't want to be on the air, but she wants to know how many grams of sugar should we limit ourselves to on a daily balanced diet?
Oh, it's just a really low amount. It really is. There's no number. I mean, it is literally 0, but just try to keep it low. Just really, that's all I can say. Just try to keep it as low as possible.
Yeah, and I don't know how you feel, Gary, but I really put anything that's white except for cauliflower in the same bucket. It's all starch, it's all sugar. Your body really, with minor differences, doesn't notice much of a difference. And so, I think, the granulated sugar, if you need to have half a teaspoon in your coffee, that's fine. But whether you eat that or whether you eat a half a cup of flour in your bloomin' onion, it's still all, your body's going, please don't do that to me.
Your belly brain is. Randy, you're right about those white. You absolutely hit it. Those white foods, white starchy foods. Colorful foods are great. Colorful foods. The purples and the reds. They have a little extra thing in there. They've got anti-inflammatory things in there, which will help you with some of those inflammatory foods you've eaten.
That's right. Well, I tell you, I wish we had more time, but we're out for today, and we want to invite you back when you come up with that next tome. Actually, they're not tomes. They're nice, readable size. You can read them in a sitting or two, and great books from Dr. Gary Epler again at
So you'll come back on the air with us?
Oh, I absolutely will. And what my book is, I've written the first chapter. I've got a couple to go, but it's how to have a high energy level 10 every day. And it's just fantastic. And I'd love to come back.
And would you make sure one of those chapters is how to avoid that darn 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon slump? I'd like to solve
that's easy.
Okay.
That's easy. Energy foods.
Well, we'll save that for next time with Dr. Gary Epler. Thanks, Gary, for being with us. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Doctor.
Hey, great. You and Randy and Bud and Elisa, you're going to have a great day today.
Okay, we hope so. Take care.
Oh,
Thanks.
you are. Bye.
All right, we're going to step aside, take a break. Now, I want you all to sit down and take a very, very serious listen when we come back.
Yeah.
One of the most important studies I've read in a long time for the health of you, your family, our community, coming up after this break.
If you're traveling over the Labor Day holiday and need emergency assistance, call the Missouri State Highway Patrol at 1-800-525-5555 or star 55 on a cellular phone. The call is free and an officer will respond as soon as possible. Use the patrol's emergency line to report traffic crashes, emergencies, drunk drivers, aggressive driving, vehicle problems, hazardous material spills, or any criminal activity. Remember, call 1-800-525-5555 or star 55 in an emergency. A message from Sergeant Brent Bernhardt of the Missouri State Highway Patrol and KMEM.
This is the sound of a brand new outdoor grill being hurled off a 20-story building. Now a stylish glass coffee table. An electric guitar. These are the things you could enjoy, all cast into oblivion. Because when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have bought with it. Visit EnergySavers.gov and get tips on how to save energy and money. Then do things like switch to Energy Star light bulbs or Energy Star appliances, and you could save hundreds of dollars a year. So this doesn't happen to the recliner you've had your eye on, or this to the treadmill on your wish list, or this to the shiny new bike your kid's been asking for. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Missouri's diverse natural resources offer countless outdoor experiences for hunters, fishermen, and trappers alike. These opportunities range from fishing big rivers, streams, and lakes to hunting deer and turkey or capturing an elusive fur bearer. As you plan your next outdoor adventure, be sure to remember to purchase your hunting, fishing, or trapping permit. Your purchase helps to ensure these outdoor resources will be available for future generations to enjoy. This has been Missouri Conservation Agent Gary Miller.
Did you know Memphis Area Pregnancy Care Center offers a variety of services to our community? We have volunteer counselors who care about you and will lend non-judgmental, compassionate support to help you. We provide free pregnancy testing, parenting education, abstinence information, and support and healing from post-abortion trauma. We can help you with baby supplies and clothing, and we have adoption information and help for those who are grieving from miscarriage or loss of a baby. Call us at 465-7179, and we will make an appointment that's convenient for you.
Welcome back to the program. I'm going to ask you to indulge me with some very, very sober thinking here on Healthy You, okay? Pun intended. It's not very often I get on a serious soapbox, but this is one of them. I have had arguments, political arguments, I have had medical arguments, scientific arguments with people who have continually tried to dismiss and argue away and justify the use of marijuana. A study now has come out from New Zealand, and it's reported in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. The study used data from 1,037 children born in 1972 to 1973 in Dunedin, New Zealand. They do great research in these European, and well, New Zealand's not European, but in the countries where they have a unified medical information system, and I think we'll be getting there eventually. And they do great follow-up studies, observational studies, where they follow a population of people and they find out endpoints. How did they do with regard to heart disease or strokes or whatever? Well, in this case, they followed these children for 25 years until they were 38. They took an IQ test at age 13.
Okay.
And then they followed them and they took an IQ test when they were 38.
Okay.
5% of the individuals said when they were interviewed at age 38 that they had started persistent pot smoking. That's defined as just one weekly session, minimum of one weekly session, before the age of 18.
Okay.
They were compared with the rest of the group who didn't do that. Either they'd started later,
right,
or they were occasional or whatever, okay? But these were persistent users.
Yeah.
And then they compared their IQs, 13 to 38. There was an average drop, and they corrected for other things that could make an IQ drop, like alcohol, drug use, other drug use, reduced education years. They controlled for things. So they pretty much were looking at the effects of early, adolescent, and on persistent use. An 8-point average drop in IQ.
Wow.
Now, if the average is 100, that's the 50th percentile, and you drop to 92,
oh my gosh,
you're 2 points, as Bud reminded us during the break, you're 2 points at that
Above
point, at age
developmental
38,
disability.
trying to compete for jobs and trying to lead a family, put bread on the table, have a successful life, because you chose, and some adults, yes, some of you out there, and some people you know, say, well, it's not that bad, it's just pot. Please, please, don't minimize the damage that marijuana can do to young people. And this is the first study, according to a psychologist at Temple University, that clearly separates out and documents well the ravages of marijuana use on the developing brain. There's been other studies that have looked at real-time use. We know in college students it diminishes their cognitive ability.
Yeah.
We know in this study they found out that people that started it in their late college years or beyond, they lost IQ while they were on it. They lost cognitive ability. Hey, man, everything's groovy, baby. I'm sorry. I am on my high horse about this because in this country there are people out there saying, hey, man, marijuana's no big deal. What are you guys talking about, you old fogey doctors? The data is clear.
Yeah.
The adolescent mind continues to develop. Connections are made. Wiring is being wired, and in this case, rewired until you're 20, 21, 22, okay? And for us to be playing with that and for us to be saying, well, hey, I did it when I was a kid. All right, wink, wink, child. It's not okay.
No, it's not.
It's just not okay. So please share this with your children. Sit down and look them in the eye. Say, do you want to be a 30th percentile kid when you're 38 years old? Or do you want to be 100th or a 50th, a 75th, an 80th, a 90th percentile kid? At the very least, don't take away your chances. Don't permanently. The research is saying this can permanently cause brain damage. Okay? That's what we're talking about here.
And
we're not talking about having Sheriff Wynn or Bill Holland or someone else pull you over and give you a little demeanor, and I'm glad they're doing that. That's short term. This is about your health. This is about you people out there who are athletes and who are worried about being the stud on the team or the great softball player. you dabble with this stuff and you get hooked on it and it does hook you, you can permanently cause brain damage. End of report. No bones about it.
Yeah.
No argument. End of report.
And when you've got a country like this one where the use of marijuana is open and available, and they're still bringing out a news story like this that says don't do it, then we ought to really listen more.
So we're going to post this story up on the website, okay?
Yeah.
I commend it to you. Please take it. Thank you for listening. Sorry for my passion. I'm not angry as much as I am passionate and just angry that there's mixed messages out there.
Yeah.
That's all for this week.
Wow.
Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next time. Remember, this week, be well, don't smoke pot.
Okay.
And share it with someone you love. We'll see you next time.
You're listening to the best in area news, weather, and sports on America's Best Country, 100.5 KMEM Memphis, Missouri.